Okay, thank you, Mr. Brandt. Members of the board. Let's see if we can leave this here. See what joke you have to be smarter than the equipment you work on. It's that time of year, right? So end of April, early May, boards of education all over the state are obligated by statute to approve the budget. You can see our budget process up here. It's about a 6-month process, starting off with the board approving the timeline, and then the principals and supervisors will meet with their staff, go through programming, taking a look at the historical spending, and submit their requests to the school business administrator. At that time, Ms. Birmingham, she'll compile all the funding requests. She'll meet with myself, and we'll review them, and then we meet with the principals and supervisors individually to review the requests. From there, we develop a preliminary budget, and we review that, once again, with the administrative staff, taking a look at expenditures and prioritizing them. Typically, it's a waiting game at that point, waiting for state aid numbers, but at that point, we do update the board gives us feedback from what they're looking for. And then once the state aid numbers are received, we have work sessions with the board, and the board is required to approve a preliminary budget that gets sent to the county office. So the executive county superintendent and the executive county BA then review the budget to make sure it meets statutory requirements. Once that is approved, it's then bounced back to the board. At what point that we review, make sure we want it exactly where we want it. This year we did have to make a few changes just due to some late funding changes that this Birmingham will be going over in just a little while. At that point, we do then advertise for public review, and voila, it is April 24th, and we are here presenting the budget. Just some budget development considerations that the principals and supervisors, myself, Ms. Birmingham, take a look at each year. Of course, strategic planning, you take a look at the supplies, enrollment, state grants, student performance review, all of our efficiency efforts, any DOE initiatives that are coming down the line. Of course, making sure that our facilities are upkept and to meet the needs of our students. Taking a look at our replacement plans. We have a technology replacement plan, our vehicle replacement plan for school buses, maintenance vehicles, and so forth. We also take a look at our mid-year budget review. The county office meets with each school district in the county mid-year to take a look at where we are spending and take a look at each and every account. So we take a look at those recommendations really that come down from the county. We look at obviously spending analysis from the historical health benefits renewal is a big one, of course. Being mindful of tax impact. And then, this year, in regards to state allocations, we received our state allocations, our initial state allocations, and then there was a last minute change. Some efficiency efforts, and I'll give kudos to Ms. Birmingham and her team. They are really mainly in charge of all these items that you see here. A lot of consortiums, a lot of competitive service bids. There's cooperative purchasing items up there that you can see that we belong to. The solar power project that we still have in place. We've been managing our website here in-house. A lot of safety grants and different grant applications that she's in charge of. So with that, next couple slides, just some of the things that we have in the budget and quite frankly, that did not make the budget. I'll be honest with you, this was the most difficult budget in my 10 years as a superintendent. Very, very tough to balance this budget this year. You can see some of the programs and resources that are all included in the budget. Our after-school clubs, majority funding for field trips, we're continuing with that. iReady, Benchmark, our summer school programs, which we are still writing off to some of the federal grants, the COVID grants, which is excellent. Our behavioral supports, counseling supports. From a technology standpoint, maintaining that technology replacement plan, our Chromebooks, laptops, smart boards, all of those are still in there. A lot of our software programs that we count on to make sure that we run an efficient operation. Real time, our frontline applications, our substitute management, school messenger, transminder, Lincoln, all of those things that we use each and every day. We also did include some funds to make sure that we are secure in regards to protecting ourselves from a cyber breach. From a staffing standpoint, you can see all of our staffing there. I do want to point out that this year we did need to reduce that staffing line item by about $200,000. So we're going to take care of that through attrition, but we're maintaining all of the rest of the staffing levels. We are continuing with our school resource officers, which is an excellent piece to make sure that the community feels that their kids are safe, and we're proud of that. From facilities, capital projects, the board actually this evening will be approving ROD grants. ROD grant actually was released by the Department of Education, given the opportunity for districts to apply for facilities projects, and they will pick up 40% of it. The key piece here is we were able to apply for those because we did have capital reserve funds. So that's important to point out. So you can see some of the projects that we're looking at for next year: septic system, fuel tanks, fire suppression systems, upgrading our door access, those type of things. Curriculum instruction, funds to continue with our updates, of course, making sure that our curriculum aligns with the New Jersey student learning standards. We're using grant funds to purchase our math and ELA resources this year. We are continuing to provide the professional development much needed, and continuing with the data warehousing software, which we know is linked. From a special services homeless standpoint, of course, we have to position ourselves to be prepared for any of those out-of-district placements that may come in. We already know which out-of-district placements will be there for next year. Our transportation that goes along with that, any program services that our special education students need. But I do need to point out that we did reduce those amounts in regards to contingencies for our special education out-of-district, just in efforts to balance the budget. From a transportation standpoint, we budgeted our funds for all of our transportation operations, but we are closely monitoring, of course, the fuel costs. Everybody's feeling the pain at the pump. We drive 1,200 miles every single day, so you can tell what it costs. Any fluctuation in fuel costs can really be damaging to a budget. For us, unfortunately, this year we were unable to budget for our new school buses per our replacement schedule. Unfortunately, we just could not get that in the budget to balance the budget this year. I mentioned before the school resource officers, and we have grant funds to update our safety placards in the classroom. We made out pretty well health benefit-wise. We do have 8 staff members that will be eligible for full family benefits, and we received a very favorable benefit premium renewal as compared to the state. I believe the state went up double digits this year, and we were low. 3.3%, so very favorable for us. And from a strategic plan standpoint, we're continuing the exploration of that universal pre-K. You're going to hear a talent acquisition and recruitment update here this evening. Some of the work that that committee is doing, making sure we're maintaining our communication with our parents and our community, and using some grant funds to support the SEL activities. I always jokingly each year say, the superintendent tells you what we're spending it on, and the BA has to tell us how we are going to afford it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Birmingham.
So this slide will start off with the analysis of appropriations. All of the things that Mr. Walton just talked about are pretty much categorized here on this screen here. Classroom instruction includes expenses directly related to the classroom, such as teacher salaries, instructional supplies and materials, and out-of-district placements, or tuition-related costs. The net increase in this category is mainly attributed to contractual salary increases for teaching staff, as well as the associated tuition-related costs. Support services include supplemental expenses related to the teaching process that are designed to assess and improve students' achievements, such as assisting the instructional staff with the content and process of providing learning experiences. The net increase is mainly attributed to one-to-one nursing need and assistive technology items. The administrative cost function includes expenses associated with the activities of establishing and administering policy for operating the school district, the schools, central services, and technology. The category's net increase is attributed to strategic and long-range facility planning and those associated professional costs, along with other negotiated contractual costs. The operation and maintenance of the plant includes expenses associated with required maintenance, custodial services, care and upkeep of the grounds, and security. This net increase is attributed to allocating funds for a second district school resource officer. Student transportation services includes expenses related to transporting students between home and school, including supervision of transportation services, vehicle operation services, monitoring services, and vehicle and maintenance services. The net decrease is attributed to reducing funds for contingency special education outside placements. The employee benefits category includes expenses related to payroll and salary payments, such as FICA tax, pension liability, workman's compensation insurance, health benefits, and tuition reimbursement. The net increase is attributed to an increase in workman's compensation insurance and an increased rate of reimbursement for first repayment to the state of New Jersey. In the capital outlay category, it is used to report equipment purchases and capital improvements. The net increase is attributed to district-wide projects such as replacing the septic system's components, upgrading the fire alarm system to an addressable head system, upgrading the door access control systems, and replacing boilers and domestic hot water heaters throughout the district. Please. This chart shows the expenditures listed here as a graph, a little bit of a picture idea for it. Obviously, classroom instruction, again, tables, desks, replacements, instructional supplies, musical instruments, bookshelves, laminators, copy paper, field trips, student teaching, hospitalizing, institutionalized student teaching, technology items, out-of-district tuition, charter school, and teacher and paraprofessional salaries. Obviously, that makes up the bulk of this chart at 38%. Support services, again, nursing office supplies, educational and teacher subscriptions, speech, OT, PT costs, PD, and curriculum items. Administrative costs are Board of Education expenses, membership, workshop, and conferences. Administrative salaries, insurance, legal and professional, such as auditor, architect, engineer, and school physician costs, advertising, and time card. Operation, maintenance, and plants are copiers, electricity, gas, custodial and maintenance salaries, water conditioning, door repairs, security, grounds, upkeep, air filters, ceiling tiles, etc. Student transportation service, again, the bus driver and aides, secretary and supervisor salaries, also the fleet maintenance costs and inventory parts, along with low radios, fuel, and contracted services. Employee benefits, again, are the FICA tax, first pension liability, workman's compensation insurance, health benefits, and wage payments, and tuition reimbursement. Again, capital outlay are the district-wide equipment items, infrastructure projects, or those items considered assets as their cost is greater than $2,000. This chart shows expenditures by a service or an item chart. Clearly, you can see salaries and benefits take up a chunk of the budget at 72%. Next is contracted services. Those are listed as 5%. Those were again home instruction, outside vendors, school physician, shared services for IT, etc. The other purchase services are like mileage reimbursement, travel expenses, student information and food service management software, telecommunications, insurance, aid in lieu of joint transportation agreements. Outside placements are those tuition-related costs to other educational facilities for regular and special education, tuition private school for disabled students within and out of the state, as well as charter schools. Support supplies, 2%, representing nursing supplies, instructional posters and cards, supplemental curriculum materials, planners, calendars, student publications, buildings and ground supplies, ceiling tiles, facility supplies for plumbing, electrical, HVAC systems, and vehicle and transportation fleet maintenance supplies. Instructional supplies, again, include textbooks, curriculum supplies and materials, Chromebooks, smart boards, curriculum subscriptions, student consumables, and teacher resources. Utilities are simply electricity and natural gas. And again, the capital outlay for the building and land improvements. Slide, please. So here's the revenue side. Those other slides cover the expenses, and here's how we're going to balance the budget and pay for those things. First listed item is fund balance, and that is used to balance the budget. State aid, you'll see that there was a decrease of roughly $256,000. Cumulatively, the district has lost $1.2 million in state aid since the 21-22 budget or fiscal year. Item of tuition is an increase of $405,000. This includes payments from Newfield Board of Education that are estimated according to enrollment projections and are agreed upon for the 23-24 year, as well as the reconciliation of tuition for the 21-22 year. Next is transportation, and there is no change in the budgeted estimated revenue as based on the 22-23 revenue projections and as estimated and agreed upon with Newfield Board of Ed. Miscellaneous income includes funds estimated from the Special Education Medicaid Initiative, otherwise known as SEMI, as well as 21-22 funds that were encumbered that are then payable in 2022-23. Local tax levy, an increase of $523,000. The district has been tax conscientious when compiling budgets. Each year, the tax levy can be increased up to 2% of the previous year's levy. Should the budget not utilize the full 2% available, the remainder becomes band cap and is available to use within the next 3 budget years prior to expiration. Past 4 budgets have a total increase of 3.96%, where the max increase could have been 8%. Fiscal year 21 and fiscal year 22 budgets were approved with a 0% tax levy increase. Given the extenuating circumstances of the cumulative loss of state aid revenues plus other budgetary increases and expenses, it is necessary that the 23-24 budget was balanced with a 4.51% tax levy increase. Next item are reserve funds for maintenance reserve and capital reserve. Maintenance reserve is being used to support the general operating budget to fund expenses related to the district-wide required maintenance. And again, the capital reserve is being used for those grant eligible projects. Slide, please. And then here in Mr. Walton's terms, meat and potatoes, tax impact to the community. This chart shows the tax impact of the tax rate as equating to real growth values and tax dollars. The average home in Franklin Township is assessed at $188,766, which increased to $672 from the 22 year. The total 23-24 yearly tax is estimated to increase $56.93 for the average home value.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions?